Hey everybody, welcome. Hope all is well. Believe it or not, this is our last week, so look forward to the groups. Anyone who hasn't turned theirs in, and was really going to review ideas for the final paper because I know that's a week and a day away, so kind of like 9 days really, and wanted you guys to have all the resources you could. So first, I'm going to go into Schoology to share this link to make sure you guys know that I'm live in the class. And so you can watch this later also if you don't. I feel like you are section 50 without the H. Yes. So in updates, you'll find this. Usually just share it as a link and then you get a little preview. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. Attach. Make sure you get a preview. Attach it again, and you should be able to find it with the bell and post it. So, there are a few things I put in here for the final that might help in practice too. And one of them was the group stuff. So, and then that would be more of my preference. So it's under examples for group and grant proposal paper. So again, yes, make sure to turn in your electronic groups if you haven't done so already. You can't pass the class without it. And same with this paper. There's 3 major projects. So if you do all those in the discussions, you get an A. If you skip some of the stuff, like discussions, it's going to go lower. If you skip any of these major ones, like the grant writing or the leading the group, because this class is called groups, it is hard to go from there. So let's get moving for you guys. Here is one idea of what a grant looks like, and this is why it is an 8 to 10 page paper. You see everything we were submitting, with the project narrative, the specific aims, and this was one I had done at Miami University for $100,000. So this was a good, about prevention efforts and treatment for those with substance use disorders, and then grandparents raising grandchildren. In this opioid epidemic, we wanted to have more research on that. And understanding the stressors and things of that nature. So that was one example of a grant. There's also the completed one that we did get for street outreach in the Lighthouse Youth Services. So I'll put that one up too. We were looking to get ending homeless by 2020. At that point, we had the stats up to about 2015. We were showing how it increased from 2009 to 2014. Some of the youth that lived on the streets in Cincinnati, the areas that they lived in. So we even had maps. You could put in there citations, different groups, places that offered homeless folks housing, like Bethany House, Joseph House, Catholic Worker House, Center for Independent Living. The list goes on because we actually had quite a bit in Cincinnati. So from there, we identified the applicant's expected outcomes. So we were to show how we expect outcomes of ending homelessness. And at Lighthouse, what they did was have street outreach, go under the bridge, bring them a sandwich, target youth reports on safety, different things that Lighthouse did. Groups were involved, trauma groups. They put in some logic models. They had a lot of folks served, about 4,000 every year. And like 900 of us were from the mental health services. So that was some of the stuff that we put in, how many people were in mental health groups, the shelters. We had a 13 to 18 shelter and then 18 to 24. And as you can see, again, this is why we're doing like 10 pages on this, because grants alone can be anywhere from 17 to 97 pages, even more. So something to consider, obviously. Then in the next part of it, we covered our approach, how we were going to conduct the outreach and identify how we gave services to the runaway and homeless and street youth, things of that nature. Then even some pictures of the outreach. So that was big. We wanted to show everything we were doing, the advertising they had for Lighthouse, printed materials for Lighthouse. And this originally was found on grants.gov. I know I've given you guys that website. So that's one place you can write a grant for. If you're just creating your group and doing it from the girls' circle, that's fine too. Just remember your citations. That's going to be the most important for you, because that is what we like to see. Also, the areas we targeted, our address, things that we were looking for. Also, other things that we put in there. Those who had aged out of the foster care systems, homeless camps closed for downtown. That was a big headline. So you want to get in different important headlines. The sheriff report. So we put a few of those in from 2014. Community awareness training. So again, some different groups we had done there. The other outreach and groups that we were doing there, those were certainly important. And drop-in center purpose. So we kind of argued here why it was important for youth not to be at the drop-in center, because it was for men 18 to much older, and then same with women. So why a youth homeless shelter was so important. And also the different services that were provided to end homelessness, and then the ages again served. The other challenges that we face, staffing. So that would include a registered nurse, average of 24 youth in the facility to 30. The staff to consumer ratios is a maximum of 1 to 7, really. So that was important. Also, the program director, what they would do. So you kind of identify what you're paying for now. If you're asking for $500,000, you want to show what you're paying for. So the tables that, of people we had served, the other folks on that we showed as important. and then what exactly they were doing. So the way we assess them, other places they came from, like Women Helping Women and YWCA, risk level, also different demographics, and the trauma screening we would do. We also would do the Arizona Self-Sufficiency Assessment. So you see how detailed these get, and how to fund a program can be kind of different, you know. Then our services. So level 1, establishing rapport, that would be with like homeless folks. Level 2, establishing trust. So they know you're coming around, you're giving them food under the bridges. Level 3, supporting change. So you're seeing that they want to like get off the streets and stop being homeless. And then level 4, offering that shelter and those services, because that's how you would end the homelessness. And it's important. So, also, how they encourage, target youth, and offer items such as food, water, personal hygiene supplies, and other available items through donations. Some youth will ask for assistance in safety planning, finding resources that we showed in Table 2.6. It also shows that, for better or for worse, illicit drug use and sexual behavior is part of that world and the target world that is served. So you have to keep that in mind. Understanding drug use as complex, multifaceted phenomena, escaping a continuum of behaviors and severe abuse to total abstinence. There are some that are safer than others. So that's a good one. So our demands, non-judgmental, non-coercive provisions to serve them well, assist them in reduction to harm, affirm youth, him or herself as a primary target, empowering them towards trust, ensuring they have, poverty, class, racism, social isolation, current and past trauma, sex-based discrimination, other social inequalities will be free in this shelter. They won't have that. So, a few more stats that almost half the population served there is LGBT. Linguistically diverse youth can be served by outreach workers who have access to translators that cover 23 different languages. So even if they spoke Spanish and whatnot, gateway services are provided on street known where target youth congregate. So here's the areas they go to. Monday, 6 to 9 p.m., downtown and Price Hill. Tuesday, 9 to 12 p.m., downtown Parks, Over the Rhine, Homeless Coalition sites. Wednesday, they go to downtown, the main library. This is in Cincinnati, Clifton, and then the University of Cincinnati. Thursday, they cover 12 to 3 at Mount Auburn and Cincinnati State. And then Friday from 6 to 9, Avondale, Corryville, and UC. With a nurse and get them any safety needs that they have to be covered, different domains. There is a 24/7 emergency shelter for youth under the age of 18. Then the transitional living program. So if they're going from total homelessness to the shelter, then ideally they move towards an apartment after that. So they try to continue the work on those. Then here's the detailed procedures to effectively provide follow-up and aftercare services to the youth. They're usually voluntary, obviously, and This is where we use the Arizona self-sufficiency matrix for aftercare planning to make sure they have like a safety plan if needed. Then the strategies for homeless youth, and then the different service providers for like foster care. So Beach Acres, Centerpoint, City Gospel Mission, Drop In, and Free Store Food Bank, Goodwill, um, even the Homeless Outreach Group and Legal Aid, Life Skills, Mercy Franciscan, Pregnancy Center West for baby supplies, family planning, counseling, parenting and classes. Also, prevent blindness. We connect them to get eye exams and prescriptions. Recovery Health Access Center. Smart Money for financial literacy. St. Vincent de Paul for vouchers for light goods and furniture. And even UC, Women Helping Women for advocacy for domestic violence. And all the citations that go with that. So, also at Lighthouse, they use the trauma-informed care. I know I'd given you guys some trainings with that. Making sure the computer won't die on us. Should be good. With trauma-informed care, that might be their success story here. So using a trauma-informed approach, especially for special considerations for LGBTQ youth. There is the job listing. So clinical director resume was Jody Harding. She made sure there was compliance and training and continuous quality improvement. She was at Talbot House for a few years and also the intake specialist and supervisor. She got a BSW in social work in 97 from OSU and then an MA in counseling in 06. She had the credentials of LICDC, LPCC, and LSW. So a lot of good licenses there. The history of Lighthouse and the homeless that it served. So in yours, like the group, who it serves, how it serves them, what it makes better. And if it is the girl circle, that's fine. Just cite everything and put some quotes in there from the girl circle manual. It's pretty good research there, how it would be managed. Then they would have several of these financials and other salaries that were served. There is a citation that we had missed. And, you go over this until it's perfect. The accreditations that they had at the building. So CARF was one. CARF is Commission on Accreditation for Rehab Facilities. So they're independent nonprofit accreditor of human health and human services. They also had Children of All Family Seal recognition. The TLC, which is Trauma Informed Care, from Trauma and Loss in Children. So you want to give them everything. It's almost like, one of the things that we help do and help edit, because that is how they do it. Making sure this has the proper saved items too, like inside of Dropbox. So as you're writing something, you want to back it up. Probably Dropbox in case your computer bit the dust would be important. So you definitely want to do that. Transparency on different activities, which is also important. The supervision plan, because all social workers need supervision. Here's the breakdown too. That would have been the way everybody is supervised at the center, the way they're evaluated, and then, the details after that. From vice president to the director, down to assistant director and outreach coordinator and case manager. Resource center, data coordinator, the nurse, all the job listings, because again, it's $500,000. That's how you pay for all those positions. All the required training, so like initial staff orientation is 24 hours, sometimes 30. They would also cover all this. So trauma-informed care for 6 hours, harm reduction, positive youth development, cultural competency, evidence-informed practices, motivational interviewing, case management, and even Red Cross. Evaluation, gang awareness, emergency planning, and street outreach. So also all of the different trainings I have here. And you really want to buff up, everything that you would use in those different items. So this one had personnel, the assistant director, 25% of their time, data coordinator, the street outreach workers, aftercare, even the director was at like 56,000. Interesting. So yeah, it even shows salaries if you're ever curious. Then that they're paying back into the pension and workman's comp. Also unemployment, life insurance, and disability. So, leave nothing out. That's important. Travel, which is the mileage that they would get. Program supplies. Rent for any facility. Insurance of the vehicles. Direct charges, and federal funds budget by year. So you can see those breakdowns. The United Way of Greater Cincinnati, the assistant director, aftercare case manager, direct service nurse, the budget categories they're in, and then fringe benefits because, the Medicare, Medicaid, contractual, and whatnot, just making sure to cover all those. So that is what goes into writing a grant. We had a smaller one we did for the refugees at St. Leo's. This one through the Finley Market, and about $250,000. So this also breaks everything down. So like the marketing, land acquisition to grow food, obtaining financing for refugees, the business development, institutional requirements, community food security, collaborative relationships. So as you can see, I know that you don't see it well on the screen, but you can follow along. It's inside of your Schoology. So you have an example, then the history of the two groups that we're writing budgets for, the funding and what we're providing for, approaches, the state extension as they help get the seeds in the soil, making the web page, training, record keeping, which with federal budgets, there's a lot of record keeping that goes on. So you do want to document every hour on that. And each quarter, so the breakdown of what you expect, how the money would be paid out, what it would be used for, how you'd prepare for spring, summer, fall, and winter, because it is a seasonal project. And then all the way through quarter 12, because you're talking like 3 or 4 years often. And so that's the website for Catholic Charities, the history of who they served, and what they do. So wanted you all to get some ideas of those grants. I have a follow-up to last week's foster care, and that was more in, if it opens, the resilience. So it's called Removed, and it's a 3-part series. Again, lots of groups in foster care and foster homes. And so if you look it up, Removed number 3, this is the one that's on now, Love is Never Wasted. There's also Removed part 2, and then the original Removed. So I know my stream will die very soon. I'm at 2%, but just so you guys have that at the end. Powerful movie for sure. So yeah, the battery's at 1%, but I'm going to make it big screen so you can find it.
There's a boy here. Yes. Are you the boy's mother? Yes. He's completely safe. So you don't have to worry about him. He's been put into protective custody. Protective for what? I love you. It's not enough. Writing's not that easy.
Of course, you need a commercial in here. So, again, this is Removed, part 3. We'll get you guys to watch 1 and 2, and it's specific to foster care. Shoot.
I'll be back. It's gonna be quick. I promise. No. Yes. When Nick comes back. Gabby. I promise you have my sweater, okay? I promise it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Kevin, 5 minutes. Okay? 5 minutes. I love you. Okay?
So you see his mom's leaving him in the car.
Are you still there? I'm not gonna see him today. We received a phone call from the board. I was gone for 5 minutes. What are you talking about? I understand. He's safe. Is there anything that will come with father and family? You will be able to see him. Just not right now. Hello?
honestly think?
Yes.
I think it is a terrible idea.
So these are the adoptive parents.
Yes. Easy.
So look up Love is Never Wasted. I
You don't
know.
want to be ashamed of yourselves. A bunch of big guys like you. Look at our poor little orphan like this.
Thank you for coming again, show. Last month. So, that's good.
So, I don't understand. That was her.
Really ask the mother if she knows. She knows. Hey, buddy. What's your name?
Process.
Bad, I guess. You say no to but again, the goal is to.
Come on, fellow.
Okay, go find food in the kitchen.
So it's back to